we've got this budding rivalry of sorts between our friends and our spouses. They think there's some beef here. And
Yeah,
I
a little
don't
bit.
know. We'll see. With what we got going on now, we're each kind of hunting for that 8. And you think about all the time we've been racing with each other. What's the head scratcher? What's the one thing you're like, why did he do that? What
To me, like for your car?
For my car.
I was going to say, because I got a lot of why did he do that to my cars. But for your car, I think the car's amazing for what it gets down the track on what it gets down the track on. The current thing.
You think my gear ratios are whack?
No, I think your gear ratios is
junk.
No,
What,
I've always
what
thought.
thing are you like?
I've always thought your converter
that
was a
about?
little lame. I like.
It's not an 8-inch. Like you've run an 8-inch converter for a long time.
Yeah, I love the 8-inch, and in fact, I'm thinking of going to like a 6500 converter. I'm thinking that's where it's at. Well, I got a small block. You get a big torquey big block.
Yeah.
And plus, I'm now have a Power Glide with a 370 gear and a 31-inch tall tire. So I mean, we need to get the thing moving.
Yeah.
And what am I going to do? Lose traction? I mean, the thing's it better not. So no, I've often thought your converter was lame. I mean, when we get down to it, the one thing I don't get is the taking the exhaust off stuff. It's so stupid. Like
I'm
one
trying
of
to
these
get
days,
every incremental possible out of that car to make it down
but
the track.
you're
Though.
also progressing nitrous. Like if you had the exhaust, could you get the nitrous to come alive a second quicker?
But that adds weight.
Well, the weight's traction.
I've managed to balance out the weight. These are Dynamax 3-inch Ultra Flow mufflers, and we added the 5-gallon bucket just to get it off the ground and balance everything. And the official weight, 42.7 pounds minus 1.7 for the bucket. So basically 20 pounds a side or 40 pounds off the car just from taking off these sections of pipe. Is it worth it?
I just don't get it. One of these days, your car's going to fall off the jack and there's going to be a flat bob, and then all that for a 1/10.
I use jack stands, and now I send my son under it. So.
He's a bob too.
Yeah, different bob. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Right.
That and your fuel line thing too. That's silly. Your two
the
fuel pumps.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Why not?
If you don't have to have 10 gallons at 6 pounds a gallon of fuel in the back,
Yeah.
that's 60 pounds.
Well, let's drain the tank.
Take the mufflers off, there's 40 pounds.
Yeah.
That's 100 pounds lighter in that form than just driving down the street. And if I want every incremental, that's gonna help. I'm working on. I need to work. I know. I don't have 100 to give, but I've got 70 to give.
Yeah.
For sure, 70.
Yeah, I don't know. I still like you couldn't put
Appreciate
a
that.
drain valve on the tank. I mean, it's
Drain valve?
Yeah, like a little petcock at the bottom. Just drain it.
Drain what?
The gas tank.
The drive tank?
Yeah.
I come to the track with no gas.
All right.
Purposely, I time my gas stops on race week events so that I don't have a bunch of gas.
Right. But so here's how I would do this.
Oh yeah.
So if it were my car,
Yeah.
I would cut a hole in the top of the gas tank, and I would take that little bitty 1-gallon tank and I would weld it inside the tank and have a little trap door in the trunk so you could get to it, and then run the pump external sucking fuel from the main tank, and then close that off, and then just pour your gallon into that tank, and now you're separated from it. You use the same fuel pump for everything.
Well, I have a 2-gallon cell
Yeah.
that I race on when I do these events. All I have to do is disconnect it from one regulator and move it to another.
It just takes half
Block
hour.
the no.
That's silly.
The fuel system is minutes, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's one hose that goes from one regulator to another, and I put the little blocker thing that's the cap off the one back to the other, and I flip a wire around, and voila, we have race gas. So I don't think that's where my problem is.
I'm not saying it's your problem.
Not my problem.
I
don't think
I'm
I'm
not,
at this stage welding in a whole tank
because you
inside of
don't
a tank.
think, but it would be cool. Like, it'd be so clean.
Did you watch Finnegan's video? He's got a big
I
cutout
know,
of
I
his,
can't-
but he has an opening in his trunk where they do all their business.
Yeah,
And I just think that looks slower to me than what I'm doing.
he does too much too. Now that I've totally bashed on your car, and I didn't even say anything about the color yet, but so what do you
So
think?
my head scratcher for you, or the
Yeah.
why did he do that, is the whole giving up on the 540.
Yeah,
Like, I know you dropped a valve and that's a sad day,
right.
but you got to get back on the saddle, right? I mean, you got to put that engine back in it.
Well,
Instead, that engine's now in a completely different car,
yeah,
completely neutered with exhaust
but it
manifolds.
runs so good.
It might.
It does. I honestly, when I put it back together, I didn't think it was going to run. I'm like, man, it's got a sleeve in it. It's, probably shouldn't hold that kind of power. And I've been mean to that engine. And it's really run really nice. I mean, it revs just as high as it always did before. It's not making...
But you'd already fixed the cooling problems you had, right?
Right.
I mean, I would never go back to a small block.
Yeah, but then I'm back to... So let's say I put a 600 cubic inch big block in a car and it runs 8. So I'm back to my cage. I don't want to cut the car all up.
Sure.
I mean, it's like I bought a car that I could cut on.
Yeah.
So the Chevelle's out of the game.
That's too bad.
You got too fast for that car. We hit the limit of the Chevelle.
All right. So that's kind of the head scratcher. Why would he do that?
Yeah.
For each car. What's the attaboy? He did that, and that really, wow, that made a difference. Is there a thing like that was done to the Nova that you're like, man, what a difference that made?
The paint. I mean, realistically, I think now that the paint's nice and smooth,
Yeah.
I think it's aerodynamically capable of going 150, which it did. I mean, it never ran that good with the multicolored floppy paint. It's so smooth now. I like the paint.
Okay.
So yeah, I was proud of you when you got it painted. I was like, I don't know about the same color, but now that it's nice looking, I like it. I like the color.
All right.
It makes the car. I am amazed how much power the little tiny big block makes. But
Well, the other day on the phone, you're like, that high compression one.
Well,
What's that about?
but you probably have to agree with me. It didn't do what it was supposed to.
NA, it should have been faster than on the spray. It should have been like lights out.
So I hear
but
your
it'll take
reason.
the bigger hit.
Yeah, it takes a bigger hit. So my other thing is, I don't feel like you're getting the horsepower out of the nitrous that you say you're putting in it. Like the jet number, something's wrong. I don't think it's right. Like if you were to dyno it, according to the numbers that I have in my head, you got a 700 horsepower engine with a 300 horsepower nitrous shot. Would it dyno 1,000? Because I don't think you're laying down 1,000 horsepower numbers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just my opinion.
So when I run it NA and then I put the jets in it and I look at the difference in mile per hour,
Yeah.
it is very close to the shot of nitrous I'm giving it. Based on mile per hour.
Well,
alone.
what's a NA mile an hour? 130?
I haven't run this one much NA, but yeah, in the right air, it should be 133 or
20 mile
4.
an hour pickup?
I'd have to look. I've got a time slip probably a year ago. I think I ran it.
I
NA.
think at 8th mile's good. I just seems like the quarter mile number's a little off.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But that's, you get the little weenie converter too.
I think it helps though. I think because when I'm in NA form, I'm never at risk of spinning my tires. Like I used to always fear and dread that first 60 feet. Is the track there? Am I going to stick?
Right.
And going 140, basically, I think low 140s in the 60 is what it'll do on the motor, and then we're at 134, 135 on a really good hit of nitrous. So
mine's been 130 something, but it's like one time. Like normally it's mid 140s, even 150. So I mean, it just doesn't have it down low. I mean, and I'm sure I have the suspension set up stock. It's not modified in the back at all.
Yeah, and you made a huge difference, I think, when you put that other sway bar on, right?
Yeah, well, the car was
That
launching.
just made it straighter, or did it actually help
It
on the
made
time?
it straighter, but it also made it more manageable. So it would launch and it would pick up the left front tire and it would carry the left front tire beyond the 60-foot mark. The right front tire never left the ground. When it was doing that, it would make kind of a sharp right turn. So now I'm fighting to keep the car straight. And then the other problem is because it was so twisted, it popped the upper control arm bushings out of the rear end. They're just pressed in there. Where the upper control arms go in the rear end, it knocked those out. So I had to weld them in. And they stayed. But then the new sway bar keeps everything straight. I don't think it helped 60-foot wise. It just made the car drivable.
Okay.
So when it was taken off, it was kind of a challenge getting the first 100 feet down the track because it would pull right and then it would pull left and then it would finally straighten out.
I think the best thing you did for your car was put the bead locks on it.
Yeah, the beadlocks. It was a beadlocks I did out of necessity. Everybody's like, oh yeah, that's stupid. You got to have a fast car. Doing drag and drives, you drive to the track and the car's smooth as can be, nice and smooth. Make a couple passes, the tires spin 2-3 inches on the rim, and then the drive to the next track. Teeth are not rattling out of your head. I would get to the point where I'd knock the weights off, and now they're not balanced at all, but they're not as shaky. And then as the week would go on, the tires would keep spinning and causing problems. So it was something just to keep the car smooth. Yeah. And it did that.
And it's worked, yeah.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, I don't have the ability to balance my tires between track.
Well, they do now, right? Because Mickey Thompson's on site.
Oh, yeah. He's just got a bubble balancer, though. I'm not
apparently that's accurate.
Yeah,
I've never used one. Not familiar with it. All right. I don't think in our intro we really said much about your drag and drive stuff yet, but we'll kind of talk about that real quick.
Sure.
3-time Street Machine Eliminator, Street Car.
Yeah. Well, the first two.
What was the original name of that class?
Daily Driver.
Daily Driver.
Yeah, with a 1080 cap.
Back-to-back Daily Driver?
Yeah, 9 and 10.
And then the rules changed because that was a sportsman tree back then?
It was a sportsman tree all the way up until 14, I think.
Okay.
And then 15.
And that's when they changed the name of it, though.
Yeah, when it went to Street Machine Eliminator, it went to a pro tree, and then it made it a lot harder to win. Because the thing was I could cut a light, and it was beating everybody on the tree. I didn't even have to run the number.
Yeah.
So, and then, if you want to look at like bracket times, my numbers are way off because you'd be 10 cars ahead of the other guy and just let off.
Yeah.
At half track.
So you won 3.
Yeah, and so I didn't get
and
another
you've
win
won
until
a number of races like in the bracket realm. So
yeah.
Of all the events, or even a single event, or even a single pass down the track, what is the most hell yeah? That was everything I wanted out of that run kind of moment. Would it be winning one of those brackets at Drag Week? Was there a week you really fought the car and that you came back and just smoked him on the bracket part, or? What do you think's the most proud moment?
The drag week wins were awesome, and I'm not gonna lie to you. If you look at drag week Facebook page and stuff like that, people would be going to, like, hey, it's my first drag week. What should I expect? Oh, just go have fun. Well, who goes to a drag race? First of all, not to have fun, right? You go to a drag race because it's fun, right? And there's nobody drag racing because I gotta go to work. No, you go because it's fun. So it's a given. Of course you're going to have fun. So who takes their race car out of the garage and goes to a race not to win? I mean, that's what it's about. It's about winning. And I went the first year, it was talked up to me. So in 2009, I believe, was the first year that it became a bracket race off the average. So before that, you had to tell them what your car was going to run on day one, and you had to run that number, and the guy whose average was closest to that number was the winner.
Okay.
So when they had a rule change, a friend of mine, Mike Anello, came up to me and goes, you got to go. You'll beat these guys. None of them could cut a light. They can't run the number. You got to go. You got to go. You're going to win. You got to go. I'm like, all right, I'll go. So I go. with the sole intention of winning. I mean, I'm not here to brag about it. I'm like just telling you the truth. I went to win. I took my 2 sons with me, and we smeared them. Like, there wasn't even a close race. It was almost embarrassing. Like, nobody could. I'm telling you, I was cutting bad lights, 540 lights, 550 lights, 560 lights, just conservative, against people that were cutting 2-second lights. I mean, it was half track, and I'm like, where are these guys? And half the time, I'm the slower car, because the first drag week I won with a 1240 average, and I was middle of the pack, like car number 16 or something.
Yeah.
So half the cars I'm racing, they take fastest to slowest down the middle. So almost all the cars I was racing were faster than me.
But is that the event or race that really you're the most proud of, or that you feel like you arrived, or
No, because I knew I was going to win it. It really wasn't that surprising.
So what's the moment where you were on a track, had a performance, and you're like, that was it?
I would say the 23 win.
Okay.
What was it? 23, 21, 21. In 21, and I also would claim myself to be the guy to have the most win rounds of Street Machine Eliminator, even though I went out like the first round last time. I would say, like, round wins, I for sure have more than anybody on the planet. I guarantee it. If somebody wants to doubt it, come up with a number and I'll come up with one, but I'm sure my number's higher.
Who else has multiple wins off the top of your head?
In Street Machine?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody, but maybe somebody.
I thought there was another guy who had a couple.
There was a guy, maybe in a brown Le Mans, maybe. I don't know. But the 21 win was epic because the car was on nitrous. And it really kind of was the first time we kind of did heavy use of the nitrous. The car was thrown together while I had a heart attack the year before. There was COVID. I was told to stay home because of the heart attack and the COVID. So I was sitting at home for 52 days with nothing to do. As I'm recovering, I just like looking for things to keep myself busy. And I just like, there's a Chevelle with a blown up 540 and there's a perfectly good running 427 small block sitting there. Let's make this happen. So I put the small block in, put some nitrous on it. Didn't really think nothing of it. It was just like, well, just drive it around and just kind of putt around with it, right? So first time I take it to the track, kind of set the timing, did a couple things. I'm like, well, let's spray it, see what it does. It's running pretty good. It already went the fastest NA pass, which was only like 11:17. So I put a 150 shot on it, and it was that 540 was 10:29. It went 10:28. And I'm like, oh, that's a game changer. So anyway, so fast forward to the end of the year when we're doing drag week. I've got 2 bottles with me. And they were like, this was round robin. Like, it's hot out.
Yeah.
We're spraying nitrous at a 427 small block, and it's get to the end of the track, pull around. They're like yelling at me. Come on, come on, come on. I got to do a bottle change between rounds. And then I get to a point where I want to say 8 cars left. And I treat a crap out of the other guy. And I'm getting to the top end of the track. He's nowhere to be seen, but all of a sudden the car dies. Bloop! Falls on its face, dies, run out of fuel. I'm completely out of gas. Looked like I did it on purpose because he was so far back there.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get it to come back alive. And he's coming. Bam, there's finish line. I beat him. So I'm like, all right, I need to find some gas. So I'm like scrambling to find gas.
So how'd you limp it all the way back?
Well, it started. That my
maybe
fuel,
the gas sloshed
yeah,
back
my
or
fuel
something?
pump's
Okay.
way in the front of the tank,
Gotcha.
and it wasn't out of gas, but it was out of gas
Out of
under
gas for
G
racing.
Yeah, under G force. So I'm scrambling to find some gas. I'm like, I need gas. You know, they're not selling gas. This is like drag week's over.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, here, you measly Street Machine guys, you do your thing. But everybody else already packed up and gone home, right? Mm-hmm. So 5 different people offer to give me gas, but nobody's produced a can. I'm in the staging lanes. They're like, come on, come on, come on. I'm like, so, there's 4 cars left now. So finally, I want to say Jackie Stanky's dad had some gas, but he's like, I got some gas, and he's like walking around like, it's over here, and I'm like, dude, come on, I'm in a hurry. And I feel horrible about this, and I apologized to him later, and I even paid him for the gas, but I really rushed him, and he wasn't in a rushing kind of mood.
Yeah.
But anyway, he lent me the gas. I put the gas in the car and went the final 2 rounds. And I remember Tom Hogshead comes up to me, and he says, my son's doing real good. You got him in the final round. I said, yeah, I know. And he goes, this is his first, time drag racing was on this drag week. And he's doing really good. I said, yeah, I know. And he says, it'd be neat if he got a win. I said, it would be neat if he got a win. I said,
you have to earn it.
I said, but I'm not going to be nice to him. I said, you tell me better be on it. I said, that's all I can say. I said, nobody wants a win that's given to him. And I said, I'm not going to give it to him.
Yeah.
And I wasn't trying to be an asshole to him, but I was just going to tell him, like, I'm not going to let you win.
Right.
Like,
you didn't push your car that hard for that long.
Right. You
all
got
those
to the
miles, and then you're just going to throw it away.
The final round, and, lucky you got me. So yeah, he did. He put on a good show. I don't think I'd heard
that before. That
it was a near.
That you were basically like, hey, just so you know, you could let this other guy win. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he came up to me and was, and I don't think he really was saying it that way, but he was like, If
you're mad at this guy, do you catch this video? Leave a comment. I'd love to hear your side of it.
He for sure didn't want me to win, but like I said, I told him, I said, I'm not going to let you win, and I didn't mean to be an a-hole about it, but that comes down to racing, and I needed to win. I hadn't won since 2010. Like I said, just get a heart. I don't know if I'm gonna be alive next year. And this kid's young; he'll be alive for lots of years. So it's not his turn yet. And honestly, I can't cut a light on a pro tree. And for some reason, the Christmas tree light gods were with me that run, and we had near identical lights. So it was like a side by side race the whole way down the track. But yeah, he couldn't catch me.
The dial in. And Ian Hogshead, 10.63 the dial in. A pretty even match here as Hogshead's Nova will get just 200ths of a second give up the spot to Jeff Dugopolski's 10.65. 200ths of a second on the tree. Probably won't even be able to see it. 500 separate him at the starting line. At the finish line, win light comes on the left-hand side for Jeff Dugopolski.
Yeah, so my event where things came together and I had that puff my chest out, proud moment, would have been absolutely this year's Rocky Mountain Race Week with Bobby.
Oh, so you won that, right? It was the
first time of first place. I've done seconds and thirds.
No, on 100 degree. That's amazing in my opinion. Yeah.
So I remember after that pass, knowing that number slipped me into the lead because it was the kind of the midnight hour. This regular run with our class, as they call the groups, which is different than.
I remember watching completely. It was epic at home.
So I get back to the pits and big old hug with the Barbarino.
Right.
And it was absolutely hands down the best moment, I think, of my racing.
Block Bob Ruppel in the right lane. Second place in the National Aspirated Big Block class in the right lane. 10:55 with a 0. Left lane, John Doherty. 10:51 with an 8. I've been told with what they have so far, there's a 1,000 difference between these two rides. This is for all the marbles. Doherty, your leader in the left lane, but Ruppel in the right lane goes 10:20. It is a totally enough. That's going to be a ton for that ride. That's his best pass of the weekend by a ton. So the All Bob race team, I think that's enough to give him the win in that with that 10:20.
I remember watching when you were pretty proud of was when you beat the what's the guy's name with the fair lane. You know what I'm talking about.
Armstrong.
Bill Armstrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty pumped for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it would have been different to know, because they don't have times or anything.
Right.
So I know it wasn't his best pass, but
No,
that's
for
why you're
sure
on the
not.
track, right?
8-second car.
Either whether you spin, whether your car burps at the starting line, whatever it is, a win's a win.
Right. Yeah.
And, I don't think it was like a historic pass for me for speed, but
No.
to beat a heavy hitter like that, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was stoked about that. But
Yeah.
all right, so that's a wrap for this one, I think. I'm going to leave it up to the fine folks on YouTube Universe and the Big Block Bob channel. Hit us up with some ideas if you want to hear more from us. If you thought we were terrible, that's fine too. I'll just delete those.
Delete those comments.
But yeah, I've got 15 under the belt. This was my quinceañera this drag week. Half Mexican, so I'll say that. That's a big deal in the Mexican culture, is a quinceañera. You have? How many?
I got 14 drag and drives. All are drag weeks except for one Rocky Mountain Race Week and one 666.
Oh.
But I have done 2 Rocky Mountains as a passenger.
As the co-pilot? Okay.
Yeah, and one in your car,
You're right.
which, for those of you watching, his car has no radio. It had no seat belt. Like,
It was stuck.
I broke it. I broke his seatbelt apparently. But I thought, didn't I bring seatbelts?
I don't think so.
Oh, I brought them one year and you didn't want them. But anyway,
That sounds right.
no radio, no seatbelt, obviously no air condition, but that that's not a big deal. But he did let me drive it for a while, so there's that.
Yep. So I've got one sick week, like 8 Rocky Mountains, and now 6
That's a lot of Rocky Mountains.
drag weeks.
Yeah, I'd like to do another Rocky Mountain, but I'd like to see it go back into the mountains. Yeah.
They've got a weekend deal coming up next fall that's supposed to be like a 3-day around Pueblo and into the mountains.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Coming up on PRI. You're not going to PRI. I'm going to go to PRI.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't know if this will air before I go to PRI, so it may not matter.
What?
This video may not
Oh,
air
right,
before I go
right,
to PRI, so
Air.
telling you that I'm
Right.
going to PRI now may be irrelevant because you
Right.
already see videos of PRI.
Well, next year, PRI. But he goes to PRI as my performance engine builder.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Oh, Big
I've
Block Bob.
flown the coop to the Big Block Bob spectrum.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the original PRI.
One of the guys I go with works for you.
Yeah. So Matt
Yeah.
goes. And he's not a contender.
And Bobby claims he's with the Big Block Bob All Race Team program too now.
Wow.
So
That's impressive.
he got a student visa to do this from PRI, so that's nice.
Oh, nice.
So he gets in for half price. So he'll
That's
go with us
exciting.
this year. Get him into the culture. I think if this were like getting a kid on heroin, I think I've got him pretty close to being hooked on this whole racing business.
Yeah, I know. He's got all the things to do it, but he doesn't do the things.
His whole thing is he thinks you should just roll out there and be the fastest guy. Otherwise, you're just dumb. So, like his
Really?
car being a 13-second car, he's embarrassed to race it because it's only a 13-second car. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
We all did.
Well,
I started in 13.
what's he
and
trying
it's
to
still the
compete
same
with
car.
you? Is he like trying to beat you?
He says he'll be faster than me.
Oh.
Whatever pass is the fastest in my lifetime,
Yeah.
he will achieve greater or lower heights depending on how you look at
So,
ET.
pro mod type stuff.
I hope I set the bar at that level for him. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think I'll go past 8:49.9 unless it's on like a secret no time deal.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to put more cage in. I don't believe. I'd be like you, get a whole different car then.
Well, yeah.
Something that's already 750 certed.
I'm kind of wondering that you've kept it that long, but now that you got shiny paint on it, there's no sense to get rid of it.
I've got a whole nother car, but I don't want to put more cage in that either.
Oh, well,
I just wanted to get to 850 easy.
yeah. Yeah.
Whereas this car is a little heavier, maybe 500-pound difference.
850 without having to take the exhaust off. Oh, yeah,
All right.
that was another thing
About?
that my 8-second pass is going to be.
Oh, okay.
So, after doing all these drag weeks, every year I bring a toolbox, I bring this, I bring that, I got to unload all this crap out of my trunk. I never use any of it. So, the Bob Ruppel Eaton Pass that's going to drive to the track, I'm not going to open the hood, I'm not going to touch a thing. It's going to make the pass, turn around, drive home. No tools, nothing.
You have a remote bottle opener?
Well,
Are you
that
open the
doesn't
trunk?
require a tool. The key isn't a tool. It comes
Okay.
with the car. No, it was
Starting to think you're not going to let air pressure down.
no. On the Nova, I just drive it everywhere on 12 pounds of air.
You're crazy. All right. So that's a wrap on this one. Probably drag and drive stuff.
Yeah.
Updates on what we're doing, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't
we
know.
could
Maybe every 3 months or something we'll get in here and or whatever we see. I don't know. Maybe people ask
3
for
months
more.
from now, your crown will be over on my head.
Oh. Yeah, I guess that's a wrap. We'll call it good and maybe get back in here some other time and
Sure.
do some more stuff for the fine people. We'll see how this is
maybe
received.
something live in the garage, like 2 cars side by side.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. Thanks for watching.